Hello, welcome. My name is Alaric Hamacher and I am professor at Kwangwoon University. This semester has been a very special one because opposite to what we expected, we actually had to do the whole semester online. And while we normally interact with our students and we have a lot of group discussions and exercise, this was terribly difficult because from one week to the other we had to set up a complete system to produce all the classes online, to upload them, and actually it took a lot of different tools and energy to do this. So I know that many other people have had similar problems, and I would like to explain a little bit what my workflow was for this semester and what I will also try to improve in the next semester if the situation continues, and maybe if it will never go back to normal, then we will just keep on doing like this. So since it takes really a lot of time to make video content, to produce video, especially with computers that are maybe more made for office work and not so specially for video editing, having a good workflow is actually terribly important. And what I would like to show you today are some of the steps how I worked and what I figured out for myself, and which can maybe also be an idea for improving your classes or your video production process in a sort of online learning. So the first thing I was thinking about was to automate the process of creating slides that I use in my presentation that can serve at the same time as a guideline, as a script while I'm making the online class, and also create graphical elements that I use in the background of my class during the teaching. So while usually you use different types of software like Keynote or PowerPoint or Presenter from OpenOffice to make all these different elements, it is very difficult to recycle them from one format to another, and you have to do a lot of work by hand to position and lay out elements. So actually the language I found the most convincing to create publications, and what I also use for most of my own work and when I write a thesis or a research article, is LaTeX. So LaTeX or Latex, or what other people like to call it, is actually a very interesting programming language. And I will make a next class where I explain how we can actually go from database to automatic customer relationship programming using these different techniques. But what I have created in the beginning when I start is a metadata format where I create my presentation and make the output for the class. So this is one step. And in the subsequent sequences, you will also see that I do not only use this in the background, but I also took the camera and went outside. So there are elements which are aiming at making the whole lecture not so stiff when we are only in the classroom, but to add some outside elements. And finally I will also show you some parts which are related to the editing, how this works, so you get a little insight of what I use and the process was for setting up the course together. And I have also used some tools more aiming at broadcasting. So one of them is OBS, which a lot of gamers use to create live broadcastings in combination with elements I produced before. And finally, I also wanted to add some interactivity. So in this case, there are multiple choice questions which are added in these different elements, and I'm also going to show you how I created the exams and the feedback questions that I think are quite important to make this class not only a one-way communication, but to also generate some interactivity from the students. And so far the feedback I have had from the students was very positive on this aspect. So it takes some time, but it is very rewarding if you can actually do something during the class and do not only have this one-way discussion like in a video that you upload. So I'm going to show you this as well. And finally, I also have installed my own web server running on website, which I can transform, where I can collect data, where I can have my students upload documents. And finally, to also make an interactive live discussion with the students, I have installed an instance of a video conferencing server, which should work for about 50 people who want to communicate at the same time. And this makes sure that there are no data or personal information transmitted to unknown or uncontrollable companies. So we stay in our family, we have this data all with us, and I think this is really a good solution. So I invite you to have a little look at my workflow, and of course, if you have questions, you can always contact me about this. So the first thing I'm going to show you is the XML metadata with XSL transformation. So when I start preparing a class, I usually make the slides for the background. This helps me to read the notes and serves a little bit also like a teleprompter. It is also the document I can give to my students, and that will be present in the background. So for this I have created here XML format, and you see that I can enter things like the chapter title, the goals, and I'm going to show you now what this looks like if I make this, for example, for the lesson climate change, and we'll see, okay, what are the goals is to see historic evolution of climate change and understand impact of the future and possible actions and difficulties of society. So in this we have also different sections. So I usually start with an introduction. So the section name is here, and I'm using an old template that I have had, but if I want to change this, I will save this and I will just overwrite. So I have this new document here, and actually the interesting thing what I can do now, so I make as many sections, as many slides as I want. I'm showing this on the example of a former slide. I then have created XSL Stylesheet transformation, and you see that this is XSLT. So I've created a format that transforms these input XML to output to create the slideshow, and this itself has a lot of small libraries and templates I have created for example, diagrams, explanation. This is the little sets what I use most of the time, and this is how one task of this presentation is rendered. using LaTeX. And how we do this, I'm going to show you this as well. So I have these different things, so I can reuse this, and to make a demonstration we will make a new transformation. For this we open the XSLT debugger, and here we make a new transformation. We choose the XML input file, so this is the file I'm writing, and I have saved this here as climate change. I open, and we select also the Stylesheet transformation, which is here, metadata to Beamer, and both files will work using the XSLT 2.0. So we have now here the style sheet, and on the right side the transformation, and we save this scenario as history future. So this is going to be here the thing, and we want to output the file to LaTeX. So we will call this our presentation. So we give it the ending text here, so this will be automatically recognized. So if this is done, we have saved a new transformation, and we can now look in our scenarios. We have this one, and if we execute this transformation, we see this has been done. Now let's have a look. We see here is the new created file, and this file will open with the software Text Studio, and we see that we can immediately compile the file, and we have here now social science seminar and of climate change. So this is actually here a combination of the other thing, but this presentation has been generated automatically, and the PDF comes now from the style sheet transformation that I made from my meta language, and we can see this presentation also using the browser, and you have also here different things. So this is a very nice way of working and being inside the slides, because everything here is actually linked. So these elements are then here, and if I'm happy with this, this is actually creating this PDF here, and we can then convert this PDF to Keynote, and Keynote allows us to then choose the elements. So if we go here, we see that we have now the element, and Keynote is opening this presentation. And if I want to record the voice, for example, or myself in the background, then I can record the slideshow, and it will allow me with my customized display to see all the elements when I record. So this is showing me the previous and the next slide. So this usually works in the background. So I just showed you how to generate a PDF presentation that I can use in Keynote or in some other program as a background to record my lecture. But I don't want to make this online lecture only in the classroom or only in front of a green or black screen. I also choose, when I had the possibility and also the time, to go outside and choose some selected locations to make a little scene to shoot myself. So I took the camera with me. And in this situation, I set up the camera in a location that is related to the class. The example I'm going to show you now is a little example regarding the smart city. I wanted to show what happens at the bike rental station, and also when I go in the Seoul subway, where you have the information system behind you, and as an example how sensors can actually improve the life and information for citizens in a city. So I'm going to show you a little example about this.
안녕하세요. So today we're going to talk about the smart city, digitalization, and many new things that people also think is maybe the fourth industrial revolution. So Seoul is a very advanced city, and you see that we have many possibilities using apps, applications, for example, also to have the new shared economy of bicycles. 안녕하세요. So we are here in the Seoul metro, and I wanted to show you that also here a lot of smart technology is being used. So sensors and smart technology is used to show how the trains are moving from one station to the other.
So shooting like this is of course not always possible, and not all the subjects are really interesting for being presented like this. But it is really something that can make the students breathe and get a different idea than only looking at the face of the professor or the slides. So this is what I have used several times in my classes, and it is also for me a motivation to get a different type of energy inside the class. And what then happens with all the elements is we have to put them together somehow to mix it up. And for this I used a professional editing software to replace the green screen in the background and to add some titles and to mix it together and make a nice edit. And I would like to show you what this looks like in the way and the process of creating the video. I explained to you how to use the DaVinci Resolve, but this is also what I've been using for my classes here. So in the points of video contents production. I have here the own timeline of things I created, and you see that this is actually the project, and you see that here is my own recording, and it has in the color tab a green screen effect. So here is the gallery with my different settings, which I reuse with different presets. So depending what I want to do, I can do this here. And you see this is the screen recording with some elements that I did before, and this is the editing part of the screenshot, which I'm editing again. And you see also that many different aspects here are there. So this is one shot I did here and to edit with the introduction, but there are also different ones for other classes. For example, the VR seminar, we have a stitching exercise, we have the possibility to see different things which are related here, and I have added some effects here where you can see how all of this is working. So this is actually a quite big edit here to show you the different elements of what I made in my class and also in the other seminars to make this okay. And usually I render this out exactly as I told this also to you. So we have the different scenes and images here, and I usually make my preset and I render this out and use Handbrake to convert it to MP4. And I wanted to show you one last thing where I can also put the different slides in the background. So this is usually what I try to do when we had the presentation. So this is a seminar of future and innovation. You see that the different elements are here. So this is the way these elements are assembled and how the editing of this part is actually done. And sometimes there are text effects or movies that are included. So you see in the background these slides that I have generated using the software. So this is a little overview of the edit. We also have the possibility to do sound recording. I showed you this also before, but this is a little up. And once we're on,
this conversation can serve no purpose anymore.
The way we use this, and I have added the sources of elements that I have used. So this is an example of Stanley Kubrick 2001. Now, this is a way of editing a movie if you have different elements and sources you want to combine together. A way where you can actually bypass this step of editing is to plan beforehand what kind of elements you're going to use, so you can put as well the presentation in the background. But if you use a technology that is used for live broadcasting, such as a broadcaster software, you can actually do this in real time. So it takes a little bit of habit to get used to this, but I think this is also a very good tool that students can use if they want to make a live presentation together with themselves and the image in the background. And we are actually using a technology where gamers have a huge advantage, because they already use this when they make their live streaming, for example, in gameplays on YouTube or on the internet. So I'm going to give you a quick demonstration to show you what possibilities this live broadcasting software is giving to you.
So for the video, I'm preparing my shirt every time I'm recording. So this is how I prepare everything to get ready. I don't wear a tie these days, but this is what I use for making the class. So this is a clean and nice shirt for the recording.
We have different windows here. I will show what we have here, the different scenes. So I'm going on air here. Hello, can you hear me? And finally, I would like to start with the, so I go to black, and I will welcome to this program, and this is my name. I'm very happy to see you, and let's go back and bye bye. So you just saw basically two ways of creating video content, the one with shooting and editing, and the other one in a way of live production. When the content is made in one way or the other and encoded in quality, we actually need to transcode it to some format that is easily viewable on the internet. So I usually convert it into two formats. One is MP4 and the other one WebM, which can be seen on different mobile devices, on different browsers, and in different qualities. And I'm going to show you also how I can make these presentations interactive. For example, if I want to add clickable links and enhance the video to make it interactive, and for example also put some questions at the end of each lesson in order to make the students more easily remember what the lesson was about. This is a very good tool I have experienced here, and I'm going to show you quickly how it works, and after that we're going to see the last step, which is actually how we can install a live conference. At the end of every recording, the video is transcoded, and for this I use the open source software Handbrake. And in Handbrake we have different formats, so I encode the format one time in my preset as an MP4 file and another time as the online WebM. So if the browser supports WebM, the file is encoded with WebM, and if it is only with MP4, then it will be MP4. So we're providing these two formats, and the software allows to choose different presets. The video quality is set for fast encoding, and you can see here the codec, and this is basically how it's done. So we have also the possibility to preview certain parts to verify and check the quality, and once the video is preset, I set this for rendering. So this takes about 20 minutes to 40 minutes depending on the quality of the content. And then if the video is finished, we upload it here to the website. So this is an interactive way of creating the content. So what I do here is I can add the different version of the video. So let me see, this is 14a. So I can see 14a. This is the WebM version that will be uploaded here, and this actually uploads to the internet, and there is already an MP4 file here which I encoded earlier, and for this I have the other titles, and I can also ask insert the poster image, and if I have a text track, I can add also a VTT subtitle text file. So this is what I do in most of my classes. So if you see the text and subtitle text file, this is where this comes from, and I can add interactions. So you have seen this, for example, if you want to add a link inside the picture, we can say this is for JS software. So for JS software, and then we will go to and can also choose a little bit the corporate color, and when this is done, we have added this link here. At the end we can also add a summary, and this is usually what you see at the end. Make a statement. 4JS is a library for creating interactive immersive content, and then here I make the wrong statement. So 4JS is a library for making music and songs. So this is wrong, but if I accept this, then I can update, and you will see that this is uploaded now to the server. It takes a little bit of time depending on the size of the content, and if this is done, we can preview the content. So this is now the content. 안녕하세요. you see we have the link here. We have the subtitles in English. We can turn this on and off. And we have here at the end, we have the summary dialogue. And this is where we can see the Forge.js is a library for creating immersive content. And this is it. So this is the way finally this movie is created and is uploaded on my server. So this is an example how to make video content interactive, to make students interact, and this can also be used for online exam or revision or all different kind of feedback with interactivity that is useful during the class. I have also attached a learning management server behind it, which allows me to check also how much time the students have passed on each question and what the individual answers were. So this is actually a state-of-the-art system for e-learning, and I have also made a class where I teach in detail how to set up such a system and how to take advantage of these very different features of interactivity, which can really make online learning much more interesting than a simple video. So the last thing I would like to talk about is the video conference. And actually I have really very big concerns if you enroll to university or if you take part in a class that you suddenly have to subscribe to some services where you don't know the companies, where you don't know what is going to happen with your personal data, where everything you do when you log in, from where you log in, at what time you log in, is tracked, and you have absolutely no control on what is going on this point. So from my point of view, it is absolutely unacceptable as a public university or even as a private university to enroll students in some private services where you don't know how the data is actually being treated, if the service can be hacked, and there's absolutely no consequences. And the other side is also that this costs usually a lot of money, which is not necessary if you can use tools that are actually open and free to many people to use. And what I did eventually took me a lot of time, but to set up an own video server using a video conferencing software that you can configure and adapt to the needs. So I have done this for the class, and I'm going to show you just a little example how this works and what this looks like, and so you can see for yourself that interactivity is also possible when it is necessary, and it is possible to do while preserving the privacy and the secret of the people who are participating. I think this is important as well as for the students as well as for the professors. So let's have a look at this. So there are different things. If you want to see the presentation again, you can actually do this here on the bottom, and you can have different types how to use this presentation. So if I reduce this again here by adding the public chat and adding the presentation, this is something where I can turn off my camera and then replace this here again. I have also some other features. If I'm making the presentation, there of course is only one slide. This will fit the presentation to the page, but we can also reduce this if we want. And here are different tools. So one tool you can use is to draw, and let's say, okay, I need a big pen. I can actually do something, and every one of you can see this in real time. You can also choose different colors, of course. So this is just an example. If you have to explain something in a conference, this is an easy way to show different tools. We can also delete the whole stuff again here when we come back to this conference. So this is a nice way to show what you want to do. And actually every time you turn on and off the webcam, you have to choose which one. On my computer here I have now multiple webcams, so I wanted to show you this. And if you have different participants in the chat, they will all appear here and make this visible and comfortable for you. Now you have also different options where you can share your screen, or I can you see here what my application is like now. So I have OBS here on the right side, while I have the screen here on the left, but I can also choose to change only one application. So if I wanted to show you what I'm doing in OBS now, I can do this at the moment now too. So this will be shared as well. So now we are sharing this screen of what I'm doing here, and so you can see what is actually changing if I do the transition with the text. This is what is happening here, and my computer is not really powerful, so I will try to stop this sharing again, and I'm coming back here to the screen. This is what I can do with the software. So we can share the screen, or we can share an application of a window. This is a feature you maybe have seen before. We have several actions. That means we can also start a poll asking some questions. You can also upload different presentations. So if you want to make different presentation here, this is just a way to upload a new presentation. It will then be converted to the format that can be displayed here. So this is now happening online. I'm taking all the different pages. I just choose an example to show you how this works. And if this is converted after a certain time, 28, you will see that it is actually loaded here into the screen, and here we have our presentation. So if I wanted to talk now and explain about different things, I can just go from one point to the next, and this is how such a presentation can be made online. So I can also decide to give the presentation to you. We can also share an external video if we want to do this. So this will allow to watch a video together. So I don't know if I can simulate this very quickly. I will try to find a video on YouTube. So I'll just check what this is like to give you a little demonstration of how this can actually work. So my computer is terribly slow because we are doing so many things at the same time, and I hardly have any memory at more here. So just wanted to give you a demonstration what this actually looks like. And if I share an external video here, I just type the URL. And you can share the video, so this will actually appear and not be broadcasted. So this feature is actually also an interesting feature. And if this is loading and I have control with media synchronization here, so this is an example of a 3D movie we have here. So I don't know, I had some glasses here, I can actually watch this in 3D. So these are just some example I wanted to show you, and we can stop sharing the external video as well here. So this is the end of my little overview of tools and workflows for pandemic online teaching. It took quite a while to develop and to find all these different tools and workflows, but I think it is interesting, and I wanted to show you this at the end of this first semester of the pandemic. And if you need help, or if you have questions, or if you also would like to adapt a similar workflow, you can contact me. I will be very happy to help you and to exchange also information if you need it. This is my experience. I hope you will do well, and I send you many greetings wherever you are, and I hope you stay healthy and keep up with good energy. So as we say in Korea, 안녕히 계십시오, goodbye, and take care.